Hi everyone, my name is Matthew and I would like to make a better format for live Super Mario Bros. 1 speedrunning races. Essentially what I want to do is I want to get every runner on the same screen at the same time, all running next to one another. I think that would be a lot funner to watch and would be super cool, and it would open the door for a lot of really exciting possibilities in other competition formats. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about getting the data for Super Mario Bros. 1 off of my wife's old cartridge here and onto my computer. Now that's going to be a little hard because my computer doesn't have a 72-pin connector, so we're going to have to get a little bit more creative. So let's open this up and see what we have to work with. This is a slightly later cartridge from around 1988. It uses 3 security screws at the back and 2 tabs at the top instead of 5 screws. You can get this special screwdriver off Amazon for like $10. It's a little bit different than Flathead or Phillips or something like that. Okay, so inside we have a relatively small board here, at least compared to the size of the cartridge. It has 3 chips on it. This first one here, this is from Nintendo. It's the CIC, or the Checking Integrated Circuit. It's also commonly called a lockout chip. Its purpose is to prevent piracy, unlicensed cartridges, and for regional lockout. Next, we have these 2 larger chips, and these are both read-only memory, or ROM chips. This one, which is stamped CHR, contains the character data, which are the background tiles for things like pipes and clouds and that sort of thing. It also contains the tiles for sprites like Mario and Goombas and mushrooms. This one is stamped PRG, and that contains the actual 6502 instructions, or the program. We need the information off of both of them. As a side note, I thought it would be interesting for us to open up these other 2 cartridges. So here we have the Mario Bros. Duck Hunt combination cartridge, and because it has 2 programs on it, it ends up with 4 chips for the PRG and the CHR data for both of them. Next up is Super Mario Bros. 3, and this one is really interesting because it came much later in the NES's life. So it's a lot more complicated. This chip here, this one is the MMC3, or a memory management controller. It's part of what allows Super Mario Bros. 3 to be so much more sophisticated than Super Mario Bros. 1. This ability for Nintendo to add, additional hardware into the cartridge itself to improve their games is part of what contributed to the NES's longevity and relevance for many years. However, back to the task at hand, we need to get this data. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to modify an original NES. Now, you can almost always find NESs on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. I got one from a guy who's about 40 minutes away, but it came with some games and chords and stuff, so I think it's worth it. So let's go pick it up. Okay, got the NES. So the kit that I'm going to install here is the CopyNES, and this comes from retrousb.com. From the description on the website, this says it's going to do what I need, so let's pop this open and get going. Now at this point, you might be saying to yourself, Matthew, what are you doing? You can download a ROM for Super Mario Bros. 1 off of any number of different websites in about 10 seconds. And you'd be right, you can. That is technically piracy though, and as we move forward with this project, I'm going to feel a lot better if these bytes, we got them legitimately. Okay, it's the moment of truth. Let me unhook this one. I know it works. And let's try this one. So this one has the USB port on the back. That's what we just put in. Let's try this. Okay, I'm a little I'm a little worried it's just gonna like blow up or something. You know, you always feel a little anxious. All right, here we go. Turns on. We'll turn the TV on. That would help. Give that a second. Hey, look at that. All right. Yep. Game seems to be working. Sound and everything. All right. So now we're going to hook this up to the computer and see what data we can pull off this cartridge through this USB port here. So here I am on my Windows machine. So this is what I got, the USB CopyNES from retrousb.com. Followed the installation instructions in this PDF. Then for software, Brad Smith has this build on his GitHub. So just grab that, unzip it, and here we go. Double click the executable. The driver actually just installed automatically when I plugged it in. Okay, we're off, so I'm just going to turn on the console over here. Hit OK. It's just initializing, and then this shows up. Just a bunch of buttons. And all we need to do is hit Dump Cart. Now, Super Mario Bros. 1 is just the absolute simplest Mario cartridge that you can find. 32K PRG and 8K CHR, so it's just like the first option. No big deal. Hit OK. We'll call it Mario. And there it goes. Dumps off those 2 chips. And we hit, all right, NES created successfully. And it just shows up right in here. So we can take a look at it. Let me pull this over here. So I will blur it out though, because, you know, that would kind of defeat the purpose of what I'm doing here. But there we go. All 41K of the original Super Mario Bros. 1, all of the bytes dumped directly off the cartridge. No piracy here, and we're good to go. So there you have it. We added a USB port to the back of this NES and used it to extract all of the data off of the original Super Mario Bros. 1. In the next video, we'll hopefully go over how we can start making sense of that data, pulling out the different sprites and background tiles that make up the game. So I hope you stick around.